Technology keeps moving forward, sometimes in big leaps, sometimes in small steps. With the Logitech MX Master 4, the question is whether we are looking at a revolution or just a careful upgrade. People have been waiting for this mouse because the MX series has always been one of the most trusted names in productivity hardware. From designers to coders to writers, this mouse has built a reputation for comfort, reliability, and features that actually make work smoother. So when a new generation appears, expectations rise high. The MX Master 4 first started making noise when a leak appeared online. It was spotted on eBay, and then surfaced again through a promo video from a South Korean forum. For tech enthusiasts, that was enough to spark speculation. Was Logitech about to deliver a completely new experience? Or was this going to be a polished version of what we already knew? As the details rolled in, the picture became clearer. At first glance, the MX Master 4 doesn't look drastically different from the MX Master 3S. The shape is familiar, the overall design language is the same, and Logitech didn't attempt a bold redesign. This isn't surprising. The MX series has already found an ergonomic formula that works. People love the comfortable hand support, the sculpted thumb rest, and the natural feel. If something works, changing it too much could risk alienating loyal users. Instead, Logitech chose to focus on subtle refinements, new features, and a deeper push into durability and precision. One of the most talked about additions is haptic feedback. This is the first time we are seeing it in the MX Master lineup. Haptics are often associated with smartphones or gaming controllers, but here the idea is to provide subtle tactile cues while using the mouse. Imagine feeling a light vibration when you switch modes, trigger a specific shortcut, or confirm an action. It's not about adding gimmicks. It's about making interaction smoother, more intuitive, and more connected. Another big change comes in the form of the action ring around the thumb area. Logitech has clearly thought about how to expand input possibilities without crowding the design with extra buttons. The ring introduces a new control dimension, and it seems like it will open up customizable shortcuts that could make workflows more efficient. Add to that an extra button near the thumb, and suddenly, you have more control options right under your hand without needing to reach for the keyboard. For power users, that's a meaningful upgrade. Durability is another area Logitech is emphasizing. The MX Master 4 has a textured grip and a sturdier build that the company describes as made to last. If you've ever owned an older MX Master, you know they hold up well, but heavy daily use can wear down the surface over time. With this update, Logitech seems to be addressing those concerns directly. It's the kind of feature that may not look flashy in marketing, but makes a real difference in long-term ownership. Click noise is also something Logitech has improved. The company claims the clicks are up to 90% quieter. For many users, this is huge. If you're in an office, on calls, or working late at night, loud clicks can be distracting for both you and the people around you. Quiet clicks make the experience smoother, calmer, and more professional. It might sound like a small tweak, but it's one of those changes you immediately notice when you switch back to an older mouse. Performance-wise, the MX Master 4 sticks with the 8K DPI sensor we saw on the 3S. This means precision is not an issue. Whether you are editing images, working with multiple monitors, or doing detailed design work, the tracking should feel accurate and smooth. The scroll wheel remains one of the defining features of the MX series. It can still blast through 1,000 lines per second, which is a lifesaver when dealing with massive spreadsheets, code, or long documents. Logitech didn't need to change this, because it's already one of the best scrolling experiences on any mouse. One interesting change is in the weight. The MX Master 4 weighs 150 grams, which is about 9 grams heavier than the 3S. Normally, a heavier mouse might be seen as a downside for gaming, but the MX series has always been designed for productivity, not esports. In this case, the extra heft might actually feel more stable and premium on a desk. A planted mouse gives a sense of control, especially for precision tasks, and many users why appreciate that? Of course, not everything is perfect. One of the main disappointments is the lack of a 1 kHz polling rate. This is something enthusiasts were hoping for. A higher polling rate makes the mouse more responsive, and while it matters most for gaming, some productivity users also wanted that snappy feel. For now, the MX Master 4 sticks with the same standard as before, which may feel like a missed opportunity. Battery life remains around 70 days, which is solid, but again, not a leap forward. The MX series has always been known for strong battery performance, so this isn't a weakness, but it does mean we aren't seeing progress in this area. The non-swappable battery also remains, which means that once the battery degrades after years of use, replacement isn't easy. For a premium product, that might frustrate some users. Another curious omission is the lack of a USB-C cable in the box. Considering that USB-C is the standard for most devices now, leaving out the cable feels like a cost-cutting decision. It's a small thing, but details like this matter when you're asking people to spend over $100. Speaking of cost, leaks suggest that the MX Master 4 will be priced at £129 in the UK and €129.99 in Europe, the same price as the outgoing MX Master 3S. Launch is expected on September 30th, which is right around the corner. Logitech seems to be keeping the price steady while offering incremental improvements. So the big question is this: is the MX Master 4 a real upgrade, or is Logitech playing it safe? On one hand, we have meaningful additions like haptic feedback, an action ring, extra input options, quieter clicks, and a stronger build. On the other hand, the overall design hasn't changed much, the polling rate didn't improve, and battery life is the same. It feels less like a reinvention and more like a refinement. But maybe that's the point. The MX Master series is already considered the gold standard for productivity mice. Reinventing it could be risky. By refining what already works and adding a few useful features, Logitech may be giving users the best of both worlds. Familiarity with just enough freshness to keep it interesting. And here's where we need to zoom out. Not every generation of tech needs to be a revolution. Sometimes steady improvement is the smarter path. The MX Master 4 might not break new ground, but it sets the stage for what could come next. With haptics, new input methods, and a focus on durability, Logitech is laying a foundation for future innovation. The real decision comes down to you, the user. If you already own an MX Master 3 or 3S, the jump to the 4 might not feel dramatic. But if you're using an older model, or if you want the latest refinements in your workflow, the MX Master 4 could be a solid choice. It's a tool built for people who spend hours at their desks and need a mouse that keeps up. In the end, this mouse tells a story about progress. Not loud, flashy progress, but the kind that makes your day-to-day life just a little smoother. And sometimes that's exactly what we need from technology when we look at a product like the Logitech MX Master 4. It's tempting to focus only on the new features. But to really understand whether it's worth your money, we need to compare it with what came before and imagine what it means for the future. Because every generation of this series tells part of a larger story. Looking back, the MX legacy. The MX Master series has always been about productivity first. The original MX Master was praised for its comfort and unique features like the side-scroll wheel. Then came the MX Master 2S, which refined the formula with better battery life and smoother performance. The MX Master 3 introduced the MagSpeed scroll wheel, a feature that instantly became the highlight of the lineup. And the 3S added higher DPI tracking and quieter clicks. So, when the MX Master 4 arrived, people were curious. Would this be another small step or a bigger leap? What we see is consistency with refinement. Logitech didn't throw out what worked. They didn't chase after gimmicks. Instead, they built on the foundation of the past, adding haptics, durability, and new control options. If you line them up side by side, the MX Master 4 looks almost identical to the 3S. That's both a strength and a weakness. On the one hand, it feels familiar, which is comforting to longtime users. On the other hand, it doesn't create the excitement of a bold redesign. For Logitech, the choice is clear. Don't fix what isn't broken. Comparing MX Master 4 versus MX Master 3S. Let's break this down directly. Design. Almost the same with minor tweaks in texture and grip. Weight. MX Master 4 is 9 grams heavier, which makes it feel more planted on a desk. Clicks. 3S was already quieter than older models, but the 4 claims up to 90% quieter. That's a noticeable improvement. Features. The 3S lacked haptics and the new action ring. The 4 brings both. Performance, same 8K DPI sensor, same scroll wheel speed. Battery, still around 70 days. Solid but unchanged. Price. Launching at the same level as the 3S. So, is it worth upgrading? If you already own the 3S, the answer may depend on how much you value the new input options and haptic feedback. If you're on an older model, the jump feels more significant because you're getting multiple generations of improvements in one step. User experience over time. Now let's talk about what it feels like to actually live with a mouse like this. Because specs on paper only tell half the story. When you first switch to an MX Master, the shape feels different from a standard mouse. The taller profile, the wide thumb rest, and the weight can take a day or two to get used to. But once you adjust, it feels natural. Your hand rests more comfortably, your wrist feels less strained, and you realize how much thought has gone into the ergonomics. The new textured grip on the MX Master 4 adds to this feeling. Over weeks and months, that texture helps the mouse feel stable without being sticky. Durability also matters. People who own older MX Masters often report that the rubber coating wears down after years of heavy use. If Logitech has solved this problem, it makes the 4 a much better long-term investment. Haptic feedback is another feature that shows its value over time. First, it feels like a novelty, but after days of use, those subtle vibrations become part of your workflow. They confirm actions without forcing you to look at the screen. It's like having a silent language between you and your mouse. The quieter clicks also shine in daily life. Imagine working late at night while others are sleeping, or being in an office with open desks. Every click you make is now less intrusive. It's one of those small details that doesn't sound exciting, but improves your experience every single day. Case study: different users. Not everyone uses their mouse the same way. Let's imagine a few different types of people and how the MX Master 4 fits their workflow. The designer. A graphic designer spends hours in Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Precision is key. The 8K DPI sensor ensures smooth movement across large canvases, while the side scroll will help navigate wide artboards. The new action ring allows them to assign quick shortcuts like zoom or brush size. For them, the MX Master 4 is more than a mouse, it's a creative tool. The coder. A programmer works with massive lines of code. The mag-speed scroll will blasting through 1,000 lines per second saves time. Quieter clicks mean long hours of debugging aren't filled with constant noise. The haptic feedback provides subtle cues when switching workspaces or running shortcuts. For a coder, efficiency is everything, and this mouse delivers. The writer. A writer may not use advanced shortcuts, but comfort is everything. Spending long hours typing means you want a mouse that supports your hand without strain. The extra weight feels stable, the grip feels secure, and the battery lasts months. For a writer, it's about reliability and comfort, and the MX Master 4 checks those boxes. The office worker. For someone managing spreadsheets, presentations, and meetings, the MX Master 4 feels like a productivity booster. The side scroll wheel is perfect for navigating large Excel sheets, and the new thumb button can be set up for quick copy-paste or window switching. The haptics add confidence to every action. For them, the mouse is an invisible partner that keeps work flowing. Pros and cons in daily life. Let's sum up the strengths and weaknesses once more, but from the perspective of real use. Pros. Comfortable design for long sessions. Quieter clicks for peaceful work environments. Durable build with textured grip. Haptics and action ring expand control. Strong precision and fast scrolling. Long battery life. Con. No major redesign, so it looks very familiar. No improvement in polling rate. Battery is not SW. Appable. No USB-C cable in the box. Expensive for casual users. When you weigh these, it's clear that the MX Master 4 is not trying to be everything for everyone. It's aimed at people who take productivity seriously and are willing to invest in the right tools. The philosophy behind Logitech's choices. It's worth asking, why didn't Logitech change more? Why not a bold redesign or a new shape or a bigger leap? The answer lies in the philosophy of the MX series. Logitech has already built a strong reputation with this lineup. The ergonomics are trusted, the features are beloved, and the brand is known for reliability. Making drastic changes could risk breaking that trust. Instead, the MX Master 4 represents a philosophy of refinement. It's about improving the details, polishing the experience, and keeping the series consistent. This might not excite everyone, but it builds loyalty. People know what to expect, and they get it with a little extra on top. Looking ahead, the future of the MX series. Of course, the story doesn't end here. The MX Master 4 is just one step. What could the MX Master 5 bring? A bold new shape or lighter design? higher polling rates for even more responsiveness, better battery technology, maybe even replaceable options, expanded haptics for more immersive control, deeper integration with productivity apps. Logitech has shown with the MX Master 4 that they are willing to experiment carefully. Features like the action ring and haptics are tests. If users embrace them, they could evolve into bigger innovations in the future. Wrapping up Section 2. So where does that leave us? The Logitech MX Master 4 is not a radical reinvention. It's a careful, thoughtful upgrade. It keeps what works, adds a few smart features, and quietly improves the experience for people who rely on their mouse every single day. For loyal MX users, it's familiar yet fresh. For new buyers, it's one of the best productivity mice you can get right now. For critics, it may feel like Logitech is playing it safe. But safe doesn't always mean boring. Sometimes safe means reliable. And reliability is what makes tools like these worth owning. The bigger story is that the MX Master 4 isn't just a mouse. It's part of a larger movement toward productivity hardware that blends comfort, precision, and subtle innovation. It's not flashy. It doesn't scream for attention. Instead, it works quietly day after day, helping you focus on what really matters, your work. And maybe that's the true secret of the MX Master series. It's not about being revolutionary. It's about being dependable. And in a world where technology often changes too fast, that kind of dependability is worth a lot.